Welcome to Tuesdays with Tilde. I'm Tilde Wahardo, the founder of Womanars, and I'm really excited to bring you today's topic, which is mindfulness. So today, we're going to be interviewing Jenn Fairbanks and Erika Marcoux, who are the founders of Cornerstone Mindfulness in Austin, Texas. So I originally was introduced to Jenn Fairbanks through a mutual friend of ours. Anyway, I want to welcome Jenn and Erika to Tuesdays with Tilde. Hi, ladies.
Hi, Tilde.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm really excited because we selected the topic, how to use stress to your advantage. So that's kind of what we're going to be addressing here today. But first of all, I would really love for you guys to share with the audience how you two ended up working together and kind of your own individual personal journeys into how you got into psychology and really focusing on the art of mindfulness.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah. Do you want to start, Erika?
Sure. What would you like to know first? So most people ask that, so I could begin there. Is that good?
Where is that? I'm sorry, you came in a little bit broken.
Oh, so I could just describe how Jenn and I met.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Because most people who meet us want to know that. So Jenn and I actually met in 2010 in Austin. I'm actually from Austin, and I had moved back here. I had been gone for about 10 years, and Jenn had just moved here from Pittsburgh. And we were both teaching yoga at a friend's yoga studio. And she kept saying that the two of us had to meet, and we finally did. And realized that we had a lot in common. Both Jenn and I had finished our master's degrees in the field of psychology. And again, we're yoga and teachers, and really felt like we wanted to bring mindfulness into the work that we were doing with our clients in private practice. So when we met, we started meeting regularly. It was really January of 2012. And in a very short period of time, we ended up writing our first book called Companion for Life, which is a workbook, and started implementing that with our clients and doing events, and people responded really well. Mm-hmm. They really like it because we've kind of condensed some complex ideas into something that's extremely simple and easy to implement.
Yeah.
And we were seeing results in our clients really fast. And it was really fun to share what Erika and I have come up with people, and them getting such a great response from it and really seeing big changes in their personal and their work lives.
Yeah. And you're saying the name of the book was Companions for Life?
Companion for Life.
Oh, Companion for Life. Okay, So what was the premise of the book then? So
that's really our program that we created, the Mindfulness Program. So our program, I don't know if you want to get into this right now, but our program has 5 components to it. And we have body awareness, emotional intelligence, behavioral awareness, and mental clarity. Those are 4 parts to our program. And then the crux of our program is conscious compassion. Mm-hmm. So if you can see, this flower is our logo, and this is the physical representation of the program. So the red stone represents body awareness, the orange stone represents emotional intelligence, the yellow stone represents behavioral awareness, and then the green stone represents mental clarity. The blue part is the conscious compassion piece. Gotcha. And really the foundation of our training is meditation. So we teach how to meditate and then how to implement these tools and techniques into your life so that you can become really fully self-empowered and live your best life.
Gotcha. So then, because the title threw me off just a little bit. So the Companion for Life is not necessarily a relationship.
No, it's yourself.
Right? Yeah. Okay. It's a relationship that you have with yourself.
That's right.
because it can be a little bit, it can throw people off a little bit thinking that it's all about relationships with others, not necessarily with yourself. So I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
And the companion piece, we call it a companion for life because we want that book to be your companion for life.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. So I want to remind everybody that's joining us on Facebook, if you have any questions for Jenn and Erika or myself, feel free to put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. You know, if we say something that sparks something that you remember and maybe a resource that you have of your own that you want to share with our community, please do so. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, so why mindfulness for each of you? And I know for each of you it's been a different path that you've taken, you know, but with psychology there's so many directions that you could have each taken and really addressed. So why did you choose mindfulness? And I think Erika, you have a specialty that you deal with as well, don't you?
So yeah, in the graduate school that I chose had one of the few programs that are offered in the U.S. on somatic counseling psychology. And so somatic means body. And it's going deeper than just talking about issues. It's actually going to the essence of where the issue is and working with it on a somatic level. And I did have an aha moment in graduate school. So I had already spent a ton of money on school and was about 3 years into it and wondering what the heck am I going to do with all this training. And I felt like there was a key component that was still missing for me. And it happened to Google mindfulness, and I saw a video where John Kabat-Zinn was delivering a business training to Google employees. And he was talking about how important it is to be present, being present and being connected with yourself in this deep way before you do anything else. That everything happens right now. There is no other time. And that was an aha moment that changed the whole direction of my career. And that's when I started meditating. So that was about in 2007. And I've had a meditation practice every day since then. So It's been a game changer for sure.
Yeah. So Jenn, how about you?
Well, I came into this a little bit differently. My background, I started off working with clients when I was 23 as a personal trainer. I was really into fitness and health, and I was very body-centered. That was my focus back then. And I was seeing lots of clients, and I was noticing how unhealthy they were mentally and emotionally, and they were over-identified with their body and stressed about it a lot. And it just, over time, I could see how I was actually helping them and I didn't even realize it. And they were telling me, Jenn, you really could be a therapist, and this is really what I think what you need to be doing. And I was like, I don't know. It took me a while. I was also a yoga teacher for a really long time, and the yoga teacher trainings that I took were the catalyst for me. That changed how I felt about myself. It opened up new insights for me on the philosophy of yoga. Was just, talk about an aha moment for me. The first time I meditated in the yoga teacher training, it was really profound experience. And so then I decided to go to graduate school to become what I thought then was, a yoga therapist. And I come from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's very conservative.
Yeah. There's not yoga studios everywhere throughout Pittsburgh.
No. I know. There are now. But back then, no. And I decided that I needed to figure out how to become a yoga therapist. And I remember, back then I didn't really Google anything, but I was looking up, yoga therapist in Pittsburgh. I found one woman who claimed to be a yoga therapist. I went to visit her. I couldn't wait to meet her. She was a psychotherapist had an office next to a yoga studio. That was how she was a yoga therapist. She said, I recommend all my clients to take yoga classes. And I was like, that's not a yoga therapist in my opinion, right? So long story short, here I am today, and I met Erika, and my whole world changed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what I would like to kind of talk about with you guys is the whole transformation process, not the whole transformation process, but mindfulness really coming to be more and more, I guess, accepted in how companies are evaluating themselves or their leaders, and helping leaders become even more aware of their subordinates or the community that they're kind of building, the culture that they're building, really, as well as organizations, hiring people like you to come in and do these mindfulness training. Can you tell our audience exactly what you guys help these organizations and companies do within the structure of that?
Yes. So to kind of pull everything that we've already said into your question, Jen and I were having such success on an individual level that we really wanted to share this work to bigger organizations and bigger groups of people at the same time. So that's a couple of years ago, we shifted our direction, and that's when we developed the business mindfulness training. And some of my background that I skipped over, I've worked in marketing for IBM. I had worked in marketing for the Red Cross headquarters and for a magazine. So kind of pulling all that, some of those experience that I had in those work environments, which were not always so pleasant. It's a stressful environment, high achievers. And we really thought about it. How can we bring mindfulness to the center of all this for CEOs and executives so that they can create an atmosphere for these organizations and for their employees that's healthy and that's productive and that increases their bottom line in a way that is maybe even fun. Mm-hmm. So allowing this shift to kind of happen in their thinking about work and work culture and evolving to a place where using mindfulness starts to increase the innovation and increases productivity, and they're seeing all these health benefits as well. Because fundamentally, no matter what our job is, we're all human beings, and we all have a physical body, and we all get stressed, and it's really how do we manage that and be as self-empowered as we can be, and functioning in our highest level.
Yeah. So can one of you, because I know some people are watching and probably thinking, what the heck is mindfulness and what are they talking about? I mean, can you give not only, define it, but also some examples of what mindfulness is and what it is not?
Yes. So our definition of mindfulness is paying attention on purpose in the present moment with complete acceptance. And what that means is really being where you are here and now. We often, our thoughts go to the past or the future, and they're not here. And mindfulness is really being more present and aware so that you can really live in the moment and be as effective as possible in this moment. And that tends to kind of work with the mind. We work with the mind, and that's the number one thing. And meditation is, we use meditation and the word meditation and mindfulness synonymously. There are many ways to be mindful. There are many ways to meditate. And you can be mindful while you're washing the dishes. You can be mindful while you're taking a shower. You can be mindful and be meditating when you're on a walk outside. If you're really paying attention to what is happening around in your surroundings and within yourself. Because often we're always looking to the external for everything, right? For our opinion, for people's opinions, for validation, for all of it. And what we teach is how to find that within yourself and to really get to know yourself on a deeper level. What are your thoughts on a daily basis? What are your emotions? Are you able to recognize them and work with them in a healthy way? And what are your behaviors? How are you treating yourself and how are you treating others? And then learning how to really work with the thoughts. So mindfulness is really paying attention to yourself and those around you outside of yourself. So another example of being mindful is playing music. A lot of people get a lot of healing through playing music or singing. What mindfulness is not.
It's not religious.
Right.
Number one. It's cross-cultural. And as Jen already said, it is not, it's this myth, oh, it's sitting there with your legs crossed. And as Jen already mentioned, mindfulness is a state of mind. And it's cultivating your ability to focus all of your attention on attention itself.
Yeah.
That's the primary focus. And so, yes, oftentimes people say, well, it's religious, and no, it's different religions do, like prayer in Christianity or many other religions, that can be synonymous. And there's some MRI studies that show that the brain changes in similar ways when people are praying or meditating, but it is very scientifically based.
And also, throughout history, it's been around. This isn't anything new.
Thousands of years.
It's very ancient.
Yeah.
So, we're just bringing it back into our culture here today because it works.
So to simplify, I think, to what you're saying is basically being mindful is like us today, here, right now.
That's right.
Actually being present, not thinking about what I have to do after I interview you, or, what happened yesterday. It's actually just really, really being present and noticing all those things, noticing the lights that I have around me, noticing that Dave is over there, listening with his little earphones. Those things, I think, are examples of being present and mindful. And what I'd like to do is just get the audience, wherever you are right now, look at your surroundings, really feel where you are and what you're doing. And I mean, it can be as little as, touching this microphone, is being present. And then I think, examples for me of being sort of mindless, if you will, and I gave this example recently, about when you're on your way to the grocery store, you get to the grocery store and you have no idea how you got there.
Yes.
Because your thoughts are somewhere else totally. And you can't remember how, the drive to the grocery store. You just know you got to the grocery store. Another great example might be when we walk into the kitchen, open the refrigerator, and have no idea why we're at the refrigerator, and we actually meant to walk into the bedroom to grab something. But I think, all that stems from having such a busy mind that you get on autopilot, right?
Yes.
And you're just like going through the day without really being present, or spending time with your family and kids and not being fully present. Can you talk about the effects that has on family life just a little bit, and what that might look like and feel like when you're not being present with those people that you love?
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old daughter. And life is busy, working full time and everything that she's got going on in her life. But one of the things that we implemented with Alex is actually every Sunday night we go to a restorative class, and it's a very meditative class. So that's kind of our anchor for the whole week and to get ready for Monday morning. So Alex has grown up doing yoga and meditating in that way. She doesn't like it when I try to teach her. She won't take my yoga class, but she'll let somebody else work with her.
Yeah.
And kind of a twist with me is that I actually ended up adopting Alex when she was 7. So she was 7 years old and in foster care. And my husband and I had some infertility issues that still were unexplained, but I can't imagine not having the training that I had and being able to meditate throughout that process, because she did have trauma. Mm-hmm. She did have issues and coming into our family. And it was as smooth of a process as it possibly could have been. And I really attribute that to the training that I had, and especially its mindfulness.
Right.
That made that whole experience so much better than it could have been. So, in my family in particular, it's primary.
Yeah.
And mine as well, for no doubt that, my husband and I have bonded so much more and growing together so much more in awareness because of mindfulness and meditation. We meditate together every day. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine without that, before, I mean, this hasn't been our entire relationship that we meditated. And before that, there are pretty wide memory gaps for me of things that I don't remember, details of parts of our lives, because honestly, I wasn't self-aware.
Right.
I was always busy. My schedule was always completely full. It was one thing after another, and there was no time to sit and relax because I didn't make it happen in my life. And then once I started implementing that and changing that and adding more downtime and more time for meditation, everything shifted. Yeah. So I would say as a parent, I'm not one. However, as a parent, I can imagine if you aren't present with your children, you're going to miss some really big things from them. You could be sitting at a baseball game saying you're watching your son play, but you're on your iPhone, right? And doing work. How much are you really getting that experience with your child? So it makes a world of difference, in our opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a huge advocate because I'm a product of mindfulness training, since my 20s, and so I know the positive effects that it can actually have in being able to transform your life, really. I mean, because you're retraining your brain, right?
Yes, right.
Is basically what you're doing, because your mind, I think a lot of people think that your mind is your brain, and in reality, your brain is a simple organ, that is trainable by your mind. So can you just touch on that just a little bit, the difference between your mind and your brain? Because obviously you're the psychologist here. I am not.
So one of my favorite things to talk about is how the brain is actually structured. Mm-hmm. And because we're going to show you some techniques, hopefully, on how to use stress to your advantage, it helps to kind of understand, how does the brain actually work? Mm-hmm. So some of you may already know, but there's this little place back here on your brain. It's called the amygdala. And when you have a reaction, it's like that knee-jerk reaction to something and you've experienced stress, you go into that fight, flight, or freeze response or reaction. And also adrenaline starts to pump. And if that adrenaline keeps going, if there's that constant irritant or stressor, it actually takes the body about 12 to 24 hours to get rid of all that adrenaline. So if there are these kind of underlying constant irritants, that can actually cause you to suffer from physical illness. It also creates some difficult emotions. So what we teach is how to stop that stress reaction from occurring in the first place. So with meditation, MRI studies show that there's a development in the prefrontal cortex where it actually grows. So our brains are not something that just, okay, you're an adult and it's baked. Neuroscience is showing that it continually grows and changes, and with practice, it can become actually bigger. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And speaking, so that's the brain, that's the organ. In some cultures, and I don't know what particular culture it is, but they say that their mind is their heart. Mm. So we differentiate that. The mind, yes, it's an organ, just like you can exercise to build your muscles, you can exercise your brain. But really, we start to talk about what's called your true self. Mm-hmm. Who you really are, and that's the essence of who you are. That's what's most important. And that's what being present really allows you to have that opportunity to be fully with yourself and with somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for explaining that. That's a great explanation. And I think, we could certainly dive deeper into the mind-body-spirit connection, but we won't do that today because
we need a lot more time.
Yeah, I think we need a lot more time. Yeah. So, but what I would love for you guys to talk about is how can we use stress to our advantage, because a lot of times I think we feel like we're drowning in stress. I know some days that's how I feel. So I would love to hear some tips on how to how to use stress to my advantage.
Well, there's several ways, and one of the ways that, well, breathing is one of them. Breathing is a wonderful tool that is actually directly connected to your mind and your body. So when you take a deep breath in, you notice people when they're stressed out, right? They might go like a big breath out. Like,
yeah.
They don't even realize that what they're doing, but what they're actually doing is relaxing their body, right? Because you often, when you feel stressed, you get tense and tight. It's somewhere in the body. Stress is affected first in the mind. So if you think a situation is stressful, we call it the domino effect of stress. That domino effect begins. If you continuously have that thought that I'm stressed, then what happens is your behavior will start to change and reflect that stress. Maybe you are acting out in some way. The next domino to fall from that is your emotion when you experience difficult emotions. And sometimes that can also be a difficult effect. Maybe a relationship becomes challenged because your emotions are maybe out of control. And then the last domino to fall in that stress domino effect is your body when you become sick, as Erika mentioned. And if stress over time, if it's chronic over time, you can develop disease or illness due to that stress. And so we teach how to stop that stress effect from happening and work with the mind, because the mind is the key. We often have a lot of negative thoughts. As we know, we have over 50,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative and repetitive. And so we teach how to train the mind to get rid of those negative repetitive thoughts and change them to be more positive, and then being more in the present moment with it. So in terms of the breath, we teach a lot of different breathing exercises. And one of the most common normal one is to just take full, complete breaths, because most of us don't. Most of us breathe very shallow in the chest, which actually can cause anxiety, right? Because you're getting more energy if you're breathing like this a lot. Breathing through the belly and then up through the chest, you're giving yourself more energy in your cells of your body. You're giving yourself more vitality. And therefore, even in the brain, it becomes more clear because you're giving oxygen to it, right? So even just simply becoming more aware of your breath can make huge changes in your stress effect in your life, how it affects your life.
Awesome. Well, I know that, even for me, when I am feeling really stressed and catch myself, right? Because I'm aware of when I'm going down the rabbit hole a little bit too quickly.
Sure.
And just taking three breaths. It really, it does something to your body to kind of just release that, and then come back to the center again and get back to work. At least for me, it does, to refocus instead of really allowing that mind chatter, to continue down the negative path. And what I like to tell people is that you can't think and breathe at the same time. So if your thoughts are getting the best of you, breathe.
Yes. Come back to your body. Feel yourself where you are in the moment.
Yeah.
One of the techniques that I teach too is, even saying on your inhaling, on your exhaling.
Yeah.
So at least it gives your mind something to focus on, and then you're reconnecting.
That's right.
Yeah.
So aside from breathing, what else would you recommend for people?
So one of our signature methods that our clients love, it's called the emotional release method. And what that is, it's developing emotional intelligence. So let's say you've got a big emotion that you're feeling pretty angry. And you can feel that, like for me, anger it's heat. I feel a lot of energy coming up and my face will get really red. What we teach is actually how to pause so that I'm not just having a temper tantrum and reacting to whoever's there around me. But it's pausing and breathing into that emotion where I feel it in my body. So let's say that I'm feeling it a lot in my chest and there's a lot of pressure It's being with that physical sensation. It's naming the emotion, which is anger, breathing into it, feeling it completely, and on the exhale, actually letting it go. And clients all the time have these just amazing experiences. First of all, they didn't know what emotion they were feeling. And then second of all, they just didn't realize before doing it that they could let it go. There was a way to allow that sensation to dissipate. So that's one of the most powerful tools that we offer, and people love it.
And it's bringing in that conscious compassion that I spoke about briefly earlier with it. It's being conscious of it, being aware, because that takes it from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex when you just name your emotion. And then having compassion, it's okay that I feel angry, and I'm going to accept that I feel that, and then I'm going to consciously and with compassion let it go.
And that you don't always have to figure out why you're feeling it.
It's okay.
It just is.
That's right.
I think that's one of the hardest things to do, though, don't you think? I mean, maybe, at least for me, it is. It's like, I always want to know, why am I feeling like this, you know? And you're right. It takes that mindfulness of just allowing yourself and that self-compassion and self-love to say, I have no idea why I'm feeling this. I just am, and I'm acknowledging it, and just kind of let it go, you know, after that, and not sit and wallow in it, because then I tend to get even more frustrated, not knowing why the heck I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. But I think that's one of the things about mindfulness, is that you really learn to not judge your emotions or your feelings, right?
It's not judging anything really. It's just because oftentimes, you know, in the past when I've had big emotions too, I want to create a story about it, or I've actually removed myself from the emotion and just gone into my head. And I recognize that that's not it. So actually being with it, naming it and releasing it actually moves me through it so much faster. There is no wallowing. There is no existential angst. It's just is what it is.
And just one more piece to this, that another part that's really important is to we always bring in a different emotion of a higher frequency of emotion, like peace or joy or love, so that you can fill up that place where you just let go of this big emotion and fill it up with something that is going to help you move forward.
Right. And I like to think that, you know, I mean, for me, I know that it has really helped me to be able to stand in my own power.
Yes.
You know, in that this, like, I see it as my shield, right? This is my world. These are my perceptions. These are my thoughts. And if somebody says something that may have been offensive in the past, it's no longer offensive, because that doesn't affect me. Does that make sense? To where it's like there's no judgment. It just is what it is, and you're able to have experiences by looking at those experiences and not letting them affect you personally.
Well, what that kind of reminds me of when you went like this, what we call that is a boundary. We all have our own personal boundary. And one of the things that we teach is about being self-empowered and coming from this place of being assertive. Yeah. So you're right, Tilly, it doesn't matter what someone says or doesn't say. It's being in acceptance and also holding true to what feels right for you in that moment and being honest about it and not making them or yourself right or wrong. Exactly. It just is, you know, and as opposed to being passive, which is not being very honest.
Yeah.
Or aggressive, which is imposing your ideas onto somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to share? Because I know we're running out of time here, but anything else that you'd like to share that would help with the stress management?
So much we could share.
That's what retreats are for, ladies.
We would recommend starting a meditation practice right away. And that could literally be 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, but that meditation of 3 to 5 minutes is a little gift to yourself where you can just be present with yourself and check in. What are my thoughts today? How am I feeling emotionally? How's my body feeling today? Because so much of our attention is external. We're always looking outside of ourselves. We're very busy in this culture. And it's okay to be busy, but how can you be busy and present at the same time? It is absolutely possible.
Yeah.
We're living and breathing products of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to develop a practice, most people find it the easiest the first thing when they wake up in the morning, and or the last thing that they do before they go to sleep, and actually setting it in your phone,
your
calendar to remind you.
That is so true. Thank you for that reminder. Because even this morning, I walked in here and started talking to Dave, and said, I made the mistake of opening up Facebook and looking at the news this morning, and it was just like I felt, it was a horrible story about sex trafficking and all this, and I thought, oh my gosh, and going to music, that's my happy place. That's what recenters me, and it's almost like breathing, right? So I told him, I said I had to get in the car and listen to my piano guys, on the way here to get that out of my head, because it was so disturbing. And I know nowadays, you watch the news, it can be really disturbing.
Yes. So yeah, we're very careful on what we watch, what we bring into our awareness, because there's no need for all of that. It clouds us up, and we can often get very distracted, as you had this morning.
Yeah.
And it's not really helpful.
Right.
And sometimes, even in that situation, what's been helpful for me is just having compassion for those victims, and just being in that place helps center me.
Yeah.
Because it gets me out of the distraction of it, and really just coming to that place of peace in myself and on behalf of them, having that empathy can be very centering.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You guys want to tell everybody how to get hold of you, how they can connect with you?
Yes, there's many ways. Our website is cornerstonemindfulness.com. And mindfulness has one L and two S's.
That's right.
Some people get a little confused by that, and I think that's right. So Cornerstone Mindfulness is our website. You can look us up on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter account, which is, what's that?
Cornerstone Mind. It's at Cornerstone Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And feel free to also, connect with us any other way. If you are interested, you can sign up for our newsletter on the website. And then we send out monthly newsletters with tips and articles and research that's coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules and being here with us today. Really appreciate it. And look forward to working with you guys in the future.
For sure. Thank you so
Tilde.
much for having us, Tilde. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Tuesdays with Tilde. And I'm Tilde Guajardo. See you next time on Tuesdays with Tilde.